So it's all about there's a guy called Apostle Grace Lubega. Apostle Grace Lubega is according to Fanero, they call him a true embodiment of the fathering spirit, yet seeks that Christ be exalted and not man. He has begotten countless men and women in this gospel and labored to reproduce his spirit in many. That's according to Fanero. They say he wants to reproduce his spirit in many. He believes in people and in ministers and raises them up with the mind to make them greater and better. That's a brief profile of Grace Lubega. Now, Grace Lubega made a remark about naming, where he criticized the traditional names, the African names. Most of the examples he gave are Uganda names or the Bantu names. A lot of churchgoers, a lot of people who pray there, they clapped their hands. That is a sign we are not independent. How do you say that an African name will lead to your death and so on, blah, blah, blah? Africans have accepted all religions. I'm not talking against those religions. There is Catholic, there is Dam of the Right Man, there is Judaism, there is Seven Days Adventist, there is Protestant, there is Born Again, there is PAG, there is Fanero Ministries, Fanero 2, Fanero Hey. Things are going to branch. There is Orthodox Church, there is Islam, there is Buddhism. All religions from the rest of other continents were collected and poured onto Africans. Mark my word, poured is a very, very, very polite word. If I wanted to be harsh, I would have used the word dumped onto African people. The Africans accepted. The missionaries worked hand in hand together with the colonialists. There are a lot of examples. I can give examples from northern Uganda, Acholi land, because these are one of the best examples of resistance of colonial rules. That is the Lamogu rebellion. You remember the chief of which? What happened to Acholi chiefs who resisted? The colonialists who wanted, for example, the construction of Namreme Cathedral. Some Acholi chiefs were hanged in Kitgum named Gangming. There was a place, historical place in Kitgum called Gangming. That's a place of food. They go and hang you in public show. In public show. Some people were hanged because they misused the fund meant for taking their subjects to Namreme Cathedral. Some chiefs, they were dethroned. They were what is called bulke, the drum for rituals, were removed by the missionaries, given to their to the people who follow them, their converts, destroying the roots of Acholi culture. That's an example of destroying the roots of African culture. Now, this kind of insane statement that Africans should start dropping their local names. One of the things that I love Baganda and the Banyankole, generally the Bantu, I studied with many of them, and a lot of them don't have English names. Like mine, Matun Brian. Brian for what? I have a son and I have named the son Tambe Matun. All the children name. I'm not saying people should not give those English names to their people. But those who have those traditional names, don't open your mouth to start criticizing them. Don't start installing illusional fear. If Satan supports your statement, it may stand the test of time for some times, but the truth will be revealed later. As a matter of fact, the African traditional religion should even be reignited. We had laws when we went to the State House. What the Chief Justice of Uganda, Alphonse Windolo, told the people, and some other pastors who are wise. This is not these pastors who want to be famous everywhere. They talked the real values of African tradition, and naming is part of it. Naming is key, is an identity. It carries meaning. It carries a lot of stories, like a compressed form of storing a lot of information about the African values. Chief Justice Windle gave example of how far Africans were better than the Europeans and missionaries. He gave examples, like for example in his department, the judicial system of Africa. Give an example in Acholi, because actually knowing for other tribes may be difficult. He gave example like Acholi traditional dispute system, the Great Matterfoot, where you go and drink better roots to show that you have reconciled. He gave example on Tomoki, where between you and your wife, you and your brother, you and your sister, you don't do queer things like shooting the wife with a coin, pouring food on your husband, and so on, so that it manages conflict. Those are traditional beliefs, and those are alternative system of dispute. They are God and the rest. Tomoburu, Tomoki, a lot of things that the Chief Justice talked about. He talked about rules in the traditional rules of war. When tribes used to go for war those days, you are not supposed to kill women, you are not supposed to kill children. When somebody apologizes, you must accept. It's a law of the tradition, law of the spirits. You must accept. And he also said, these people have been killing themselves for so long until UN brought the charter. In fact, they have been hanging each other, death penalty, for so long until UN brought they started abolishing death penalty. Even USA this year still did death sentence to Macheras Williams in one of the states. So, the statement is an attack on African institution. That is family. You attacked African family. The statement is an attack on African institution. That is the society, the tradition, the culture. As a matter of information, most of the things were discovered in Africa. If you start valuing other names, the worst part of it is indirectly you are installing fear. You are increasing and widening the sense of the inferiority complex. Let me tell you, Catholic in Acholi land never used to allow drums in the church. Yes. Now I tell you what, drums are being played in the church. And secondly, do you know what? What is called a Baguwere, a leaf called Baguwere, is now used for blessing the church, which is the same purpose also in traditional culture of Acholi. So instead of us readjusting to conform to their norm, we should let them readjust to conform to our norm. Just naming. For example, many churches should be made to accept giving baptism to people who don't have those foreign names. Because when those foreigners have left using those names, those so-called biblical names. You see? In other words, the African traditional leaders should also find African traditional system of baptism. So, the statement by Apostle Lubega is a total nonsense and raises a lot of questions about him. He should not take the social media rant for granted. He should not think if you want that information to be in your church, don't let it be recorded and spread it outside so that it sticks to your church members, because there are a lot of people who stick to your way of thinking and interpreting things. So this level of degrading Africans must stop. Installing inferiority complex must stop. Attacking family, attacking important institutions, the culture must stop. Names. I appreciate the Baganda and the Banyankole. Most of your names you don't have these English names. Continue. And I encourage other people also to. Why do you you take their names? People who discovered medicine by cutting the stomach of the slaves, surgery by cutting the stomachs of the slaves. The Christianity was a midwife to all those colonial processes. Cowrie shell. In Africa, cowrie shell is used. It is called gari in Acholi. It is used for traditional purposes. Why was it one so important to the extent that it became money? What did the missionaries and the colonialists wanted from the cowrie shell? What did they want from the cowrie shell? They are men. Why do they want these diamonds, these minerals, which are used as spiritual gates in Africa? Africa, let's be wise. This is not a statement against foreign religion, but let's be wise. Your apology will not matter. You continue. But the real Africans who know what is what will know that what you're talking about are nonsense. Thank you.